live from the Coachella Valley. Time for another hour of the desert scene. Art exhibitions to modernism, music festivals to live theater, big screen, little screen, and very little screen. This is the Culture Corner with Bonnie Gilgallen and Brayan Mendoza. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the Culture Corner. This is Bonnie and Brayan. And we got some controversy to talk about.
Big time.
Now, Bonnie has seen only the previews of this movie. Our guest, Hayley, has seen the movie all the way through, and I have seen it too. Now, the movie, everyone is talking about it. Cuties. Now, if you don't know what Cuties is, Cuties is a French movie. It's a coming-of-age story about a group of girls that are in a dance troupe, and one of them, the main character, she joins this dance troupe and she wants to dance, but the whole movie is about her being confused about things. Like, she wants to dance, and then she also has to uphold her family's traditional Islamic beliefs, and she's an immigrant in France. So there's a lot of things in this movie, but the controversy is about those, well,
provocative, to say the least.
Provocative dance sequences. And let's just say I'm going to describe some scenes before we get into this conversation, because you
got to have some context.
You got to get context. Yeah. So the filmmakers in this movie decided to incorporate scenes of the girls having twerking, which is when you move your butt up and down and all that. And these girls are 11
very
years old.
Suggestively.
And there are scenes where the girls are holding their, like, I don't know how to do it on like radio, but like they
stick their fingers in their mouth, and it's all very suggestive.
Yeah. And nope, it's a big nope. But if I'm gonna give a quick flicks and picks type review about it, I think it's just mostly a very boring movie. Like, I was bored most of it, and then the dance sequences are just like whiplash. It's like, okay, I was bored. Now I'm disgusted,
yes. And then I'm bored again. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is a time of the Save Our Children activism that's going on. So this is an interesting time that a lot of conversations are being had about how children are in film and all that. And funny enough, this isn't even the first time that I've seen things like this. Like, Dance Moms was a show about, well, moms.
And then they had like 5, 6, 7-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
The really little kids.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And toddlers and tiaras. Yeah. So I wanted to bring on Hayley Stubbert. She is an activist with Save Our Children, and she is a mom herself. She has 3 wonderful boys, and she's one of my friends. So, it's always nice to get someone on that an actual parent to talk about.
Get their
kids,
view on it, yeah.
So now, Hayley, first question. Tell us your experience about Cuties. Honestly, just be honest. Like, you told me so much about it. What happened with Cuties with you?
It was like extremely boring. It made me very uncomfortable. There was a lot of the dancing scenes, and like the way the girl would dress, it was very uncomfortable.
Now the thing would be that now the director had all this stuff about how she was trying to show how children are exploited.
Make a point.
A point. Do you think she made her point, or do you think it's kind of like, no?
I think it, like, you can see the point. It's obvious what her point was trying to be, but I think she maybe went a little bit too far with the way that the girls were dressing and dancing.
Now, how would you, I guess, like, is there a way to tell this story without featuring the dancing?
I think there could have been, like, maybe give the idea of the dancing without actually showing the dancing.
Oh, yeah. Like, I in hindsight, Bonnie and I were talking about this. Like, you can show dancing.
You can have a really great, energetic, modern, maybe even slightly edgy dance routine without being so sexualized. I think that was the problem.
Yeah. The problem is definitely that. And I think for me, like, what bothers me about this movie is just the twerking and, like, and they're random too. Like, half of the movie when you're watching it, it's like it just cut. I don't know if you remember, Hayley, but you remember that scene when they're on the staircase and they're just like this whole 4-minute scene of them dancing and putting their hands in their mouth, and then, like,
yes,
like, I don't know, like, as a parent, are you concerned for the children in that movie? Like, when you watch that movie, like, where does your concern come from? Like, does it come from for the children in the movie, or for your own kids, or for everyone's kids? Like, where does your concern
for almost everyone's kids, because those kids, they seem to be raised okay, but they're still doing that. So it just makes you wonder, like, all the little girls out there, what they actually want to do.
No, and that's true because, like, I've been to family parties and I've seen little girls like imitate like rap, not necessarily rap, but like a lot of like dancing, and it's like, you almost want to take a step back and say like, okay, I know that they're kids and they don't understand what they're dancing for, but you almost want to tell them like, hey, cool it down a bit, don't dance like that. Now for you, now I've asked you this question, but obviously I guess it would be good for me to ask you on air. If your kids were offered like a similar movie and it was boys instead, like let's say Brownies or something like that.
Chippendales Jr. or something.
Like, you obviously would say no, right?
Yeah, definitely not.
No. And now, can you tell us a little bit about how the reaction for this movie, do you think this relates a little bit to Save Our Children, like the reaction to it, like the backlash?
I think a little bit, but to me, honestly, I think it's just a trend. Like, people are being told it's bad, so they're going to automatically say that it's bad.
Okay. Now, for the trend, do you feel like people are... Now, I've said this, but I don't know if you would agree with me. Do you think that people are obviously going on talking about this as a trend and then not actually doing anything else about it? Like, not actually doing more productive things than just boycotting this movie?
Yes.
Now, I was going to say... Now, I'm trying to think of, like, the other thing I was trying to remind myself. Like,
I'm going to jump in here. Hi, Hayley. I'm just, I was talking to Brayan about this before. I think there are a couple issues here. First of all, I think that, and I just saw the preview, like 20 seconds of the preview. That was enough for me. I mean, there was, I think they picked some of the, and I thought I was offended. First of all, I think it's definitely, I think it can be a draw for pedophiles. We got enough of that out there already. And the second thing is, I think these days, a lot of little girls grow up way too fast. And we have 11, 12-year-old girls out there already over-sexualized, even without this kind of stuff. But I think to exaggerate it and to deliberately do these very, very, very suggestive dance routines, I'm not a mother, but I wouldn't want my daughter doing it, and I wouldn't want it. I mean, again, I just saw the preview of the movie. That was enough for me. What do you think? What do you think parents can do? Is there something they can do? And what is Save Our Children? Tell me about that. The organization. Did you start this, or tell me about that a little bit?
I didn't start it. It just all the things, like one of my kids. I have Snapchat. I don't know if you heard of that or not, but my son was messing around on it and just sent a picture just of himself, fully clothed and everything. And then a guy was messaging me saying he was fine and stuff like that, like sexually talking about him. I didn't start Save Our Children, but I'm actively open about it because I want people to be made aware of it. And what parents could do for all the dancing, maybe not force their kids into it at such a young age, like dance moms, like Brayan was talking about. That stuff is actually really happening, and it's disgusting. Moms are all for it, dressing their daughters in provocative clothing and having them do not so good dances.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you would want to protect children, but there's sometimes, it seems like society in a lot of places are making it so difficult for children to feel safe and all that. And so for me, dance moms, like, I wonder, like, I know you said earlier, like, it was a trend. Do you feel like because of that dance moms didn't get the same level of criticism as Cuties? Like, no one's saying cancel the Learning Channel, which... Ironically,
is that show still on? I don't know. Is it still on?
I gotta look that up. But like,
I mean, I know there was some controversy, but maybe not enough. I don't know.
I thought so too. It's on the Lifetime Network. Dance Moms has actually been recently canceled, but they lasted 8 years and they lasted 224 episodes, including 10 specials. And
wow.
The other thing, which is Toddlers and Tiaras.
Oh, that's bad too.
Now, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the pageant scene?
3 and 4 year olds in pageants. Do you think that's a bad idea?
Yes.
Now, I was gonna say, like, this show, Toddlers and Tiaras, ended after 7 seasons, but it lasted 120 episodes, 7 seasons, and it funny enough, like, a lot of it did receive controversy. Like, there was actually somebody that said there was like a custody hearing regarding one of the kids, and the psychologist said that children adorned with pageantry identities are not playing or pretending. Instead, they are trained to closely resemble their adult counterparts. And that's actually, like, pretty true.
Well, kids that little, they don't understand a lot, really, the difference between fantasy and reality. And I really think it can warp their whole perceptions of, I mean, either make them become little conceited little girls who think they're God's gift to the universe, which is not good, or become very insecure if, say, they lose the crown, somebody else wins, and then you got a 4-year-old crying her eyes out. I mean, I just don't think you need that kind of trauma at that age, you know.
And one particular episode had according to this, I'm reading this off, one episode of Dance Moms had a mother on the show who was criticized, who rightfully so, for trying to pad her daughter's outfit to resemble Dolly Parton's.
Now, see, that's absurd. That's just really unnecessary.
And asking for her daughter to fake smoke. Now, you know, I'm going to be honest, at least I'm going to say this about Cuties. At least with Cuties, they didn't try to pad the outfits. But, you know, honestly, those outfits, you know... it
was enough, the way they were.
Like,
yeah. So, Hayley, what would you advise, as far as you're setting the picture of your son, you know, what can parents do? What more could parents do as far as that, protecting their kids, like, on the internet and that kind of thing?
The only thing I think we could try to do is monitor it more. But, I mean, there's so many predators. The only thing that would remotely help is just restricting internet, but that's almost impossible these days.
You know, I think Hayley got a good point, is that it is impossible. Kids will be on the internet. You know, that's the thing, is that I think me and Hayley, you know, we grew up together, and I can tell you that me and her, we, like, all of us, our generation bracket, we were on the internet. We were on websites that before parental controls, you know, and it's, I mean, I think is that the phone age has come, you know, like, everyone's on their phone, their kids on the phone, and it's impossible to, it's impossible to not tell a kid, like, hey, don't be on the phone, because they'll find some way. They're smart. They have they have a pad, they have all this stuff, and you also want your kid to keep in touch with people. Yeah. You know, it's difficult.
But I think you just got to do as much monitoring as you can. I think it would be really tough. I'm glad I'm not a parent right now, to be honest with you. There's so much out there. Hayley, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck, and get your boys safe. And I agree with you. This movie is just no good.
Thank you.
You have a good day, Hayley.
Thanks so much. We'll be back in the Culture Corner in just a little bit.
The curtain rises on local and regional arts and entertainment. From music to theater, films to fine art, it's the Culture Corner. Get connected. Call 760-544-TALK. That's 760-544-8255. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the Culture Corner. This is Bonnie and Brayan. I always like Brian and
B&B.
B&B. The B&B. But I was going to say, so let's go ahead and talk about some news. The Batman. Now, a couple weeks ago, we've actually on our pilot episode, we actually talked about the Batman being delayed because of Robert Pattinson's COVID-19 diagnosis, which in itself is kind of shows that filmmaking is going to be a very risky endeavor if we're
for a while.
For a while, yes. And so the production has now finally resumed with Pattinson back at the saddle, and he was cleared up, no COVID apparently, and all the people that were in close contact with him when he was positive have apparently quarantined and are safe right now, presumably so. And so finally it's back. The Batman's back in production.
Yeah, again, I would want to know some further details. Like, for instance, how sick was he? Was he ever in the hospital? I guess I'm assuming he was never on a ventilator. We would have heard that. And how long ago did he get cleared? How long ago did he stop having symptoms? What about all these people that were quarantined? Have they all tested negative? And so you're going to get all these people back together on a set. How long? I would think you'd want to wait. I'd want a window of time after no symptoms cleared, everyone negative before you start filming again. It makes me nervous.
The thing about filmmaking is that it in itself right now is already it's already so difficult as a thing. In general, it's so difficult to try to figure out how do we make movies without getting people sick? How do we get past this, Yeah. And so for me, like watching this, I'm thinking, I don't know how I feel about people getting back in groups. Like if they got sick before, we can't go back to our old habits. We can't go back to that. And also the thing would be that only 25% of the movie was shot before the pandemic came, and still hasn't went. So that's not. I was gonna say came here. And went, but no, it's still here. And so apparently Pattinson did not transmit to. Apparently, the Warner Brothers has said, well, they made sure to check if he didn't transmit the virus to other people, which I'm actually surprised, because how do you film certain scenes? Because the fact is, like, wearing a mask is the best sure way to like prevent someone from getting it. But how do you make these scenes without not wearing it, without spreading the disease?
I don't know. I don't know how you can do it.
So, I mean, I guess if Warner Bros. Feels comfortable enough, I guess they could do it. But I mean, it obviously didn't work out for them at first. But it is what it is when it comes to that production. And other productions that are coming back, Pose, the television series Pose, which is about trans women and LGBT people during the ballroom sequence, that also is coming back into production next month in New York. They're filming in New York, so I'm a little bit skeptical about that one too, because that show has big sequences of people dancing together and a lot of like kissing scenes and all that. So I'm actually really concerned about that too.
Yeah.
And now talking about pandemic news and the movie industry, Disney's Mulan has reportedly made more money than Tenet. Now, for those who you don't know, Disney's Mulan is a movie that released itself straight on Disney Plus. You had to pay an extra $30 to own a copy on Disney Plus. And Tenet was released in theaters for the most part. It never got a digital release, so just to give some context on that. Now, the movie itself, Mulan, pretty much has worked out pretty well for the studio because it has been purchased by 29% of its U.S. subscribers, which makes it about, I would say, almost 9 million people. Like almost 9
That's
million
a lot.
People. 9 million people, $30 each. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yep.
Mulan actually made approximately $261 million domestically, while in Tenet, by comparison, has made only $207 worldwide. So domestically, Mulan beat it by 50 million. So it tells you a lot about the whole worldwide view. My opinion, why this story is so important, is that it shows that people are just not ready to go back to the movie theater. I was just going to say,
I'm not. I mean, first of all, I'm hoping that they're making sure everyone has to have more mask. I'm hoping they're like blocking off seats so that you can only sit, you can't sit within, 6 feet of everybody. That's tough to do. And with a movie theater, you're in a closed space with other people. And that's that is problematic. So I'm not ready to go back to a theater. I don't know about you.
Also, the people's reactions in the movie theater, like when people laugh and when people
Yeah.
talk, and you know, if
Eating. Well, I think it's they're not selling concessions. That's one thing that, right? Is that true of all theaters or?
I think in China, only in China.
See,
here.
they shouldn't be doing that here either.
And drive-through theaters, honestly, maybe that would be the best.
Drive-in, and that's what they're starting. They're putting one up in Palm Springs. That is the. I'm surprised they haven't done them soon. That's the perfect answer for right now.
Oh yeah, one right now at least. I mean, I think movie theaters will get back to normal soon.
At some point.
At some point, but I think for now we got to be very cautious and careful about things like that.
And drive-in theaters are great. You sit in your car. You can eat whatever you want. You're far away from other people. And why not? That's perfect.
Privacy. Honestly, it's like your own little booth in a movie theater. Honestly,
yeah.
But we'll go ahead and let you go for a second, so we can go ahead and have Anita Rose come on in our next segment, and well, the Culture Corner will be right back.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallen and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Live from the desert cities of Southern California, here's Brayan and Bonnie.
And we are back on the Culture Corner. We're our new 2-hour version, 10 a.m. to 12 noon every Saturday here on iHub Radio. I'm here with Brayan Mendoza, my new co-host. He used to host the show, film show called Flicks and Picks. And now we have on the phone Anita Rose, who's been with us before, and she is one of the busiest performers in town. She's running around all over the place. A lot of it's now online, but she is... one of the things we want to talk about is that she's part of this Cabaret Cares 3-day online streaming performance with a lot of wonderful singers. I believe it started last night at 7 p.m. I think it's tonight at 7, tomorrow at 7. And it's to benefit, I believe, the California Association for the Deaf. I think that's it. Hi, Anita. How are you?
Oh, Anita, I was actually talking to Anita. She wants us to call her back in 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, we're going to get her back in just a moment. Sorry, I missed that. Okay, so she's just a lot of stuff. And she does this Truth or Shots, Bitchiest Brunch, Cabaret Cares. She's running around doing, and she during season was booking all the talent at Stacy's, which is a wonderful small little bar that has entertainment on Arenas, and I sang there a couple times with Eric, my partner. But Anita's and this Cabaret Cares has a lot of local performers. I think Robbie Wayne is performing, Eve Holmes, Francesca Amari. There's a whole, I think Jason Hall, a number. I think and Bella DeBall. I think Brian Wanzak is hosting it. I'm seeing it. So it's really a great live stream 3-day performing event. I believe it's the California Association for the Deaf, I think, is the who they're performing for. And this live, let's talk about that for a second. The live stream thing. So remember we talked about this last week, and everybody was all upset because there's a notice on Facebook that as of October 1st, you can't do it anymore. Well, I've read there have been some clarifications on that, and apparently if you're doing a short, like 4 or 5 song thing live with a live musician playing live, you're okay. They don't want you using tracks, and what they really don't want is somebody going live Facebook and then just running CDs or running music and then just going off and having it run, because then that's more like sort of a radio station and there's all kinds of issues with copyrights. But if you're doing, as I understand it, if you're doing a live Facebook stream for like 4 minutes, they consider that a live event, and someone's playing live for you. They don't want you using tracks. Apparently, that's a lot of people were using tracks. But if you do you're live and the pianist is live and it's a short thing, you're okay. That's the lot of stuff.
Oh, okay. I see. That makes a lot of sense, because if it's your music, it's your music. You're not going to really tell someone, hey, we're going to copyright your music.
That's a real relief to a lot of performers, because what everyone's doing is pretty much really short stuff, but they want you to have, and I'm blessed that I live with a really great live pianist, so I have one. So that was really a relief, because a lot of people were really upset about that.
Rightfully so, because the thing is that it's very difficult to be an artist nowadays.
There's no place to go perform.
No, and definitely I would say that this news is a relief to me, because it makes me realize, oh wow, my friends could actually make some money and actually could actually perform and do their craft. And in the case of like Anita Rose, like being able to actually like have all these like charity events and stuff like that. And I think that's actually a really wonderful thing that they've clarified it. But, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if in the future something like much more strict happens.
I wouldn't either. And I wouldn't surprise. And I'm hoping. I know that there's a couple places now, the Lavender, which is in La Quinta, and there's some other place in Indio, now are having a couple people I know outside like patio stuff, having like one or two musicians live. But it's the same thing. The tables are spaced out and the people have to wear masks. Just like there are a couple places you can go eat outside. Oh, yeah. But so I guess I don't know if every city, I know Riverside County still has strict rules about, I guess, no live entertainment inside. But I don't know. I guess this places in the Quinta and Indio, I'm assuming they've checked out what the restrictions are. We'll find out, I guess.
Well, the thing would be that I'm not entirely against performing outside. It's just one of those things where I'm always going to be very cautious about it, you know. And I feel like there's so many venues there's so many. The fact is, I am not surprised that maybe someone might say, "Oh, well, there's no other way I can perform," which I understand. I completely understand.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not entirely against performing outside if it's limited, but still for me, like the whole eating outside thing, I'm still skeptical about it. So optimistically skeptical.
Yeah. I mean, and that's it. I mean, always better to be safe than sorry when you're talking about a disease, especially disease that can put you on a ventilator and kill you. That's the thing about all these people getting adamant and protesting about masks and running through Target screaming, "Taking off your mask." I mean, here's the thing. If your choices are, if you err on the side of caution, all right, well, maybe it turns out you didn't really have to wear the mask that long, or maybe you look silly and maybe it's hot and stuffy and you don't really like breathing through it. But if the alternative to not wearing one is dying, getting, very, very sick on a ventilator or dying, I think I'd rather risk, being hot and stuffy and maybe looking silly with a mask. I mean, or you're also putting other people at risk. That's the big thing. When you wear a mask, you're really protecting other people from you more so than you from them. But the performing thing. But I'm really glad. I'm hoping. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they keep okay, if you're live and you got live musicians and you keep it short, you can still do the Facebook live stream occasion because it's a great outlet for those of us who perform and people want to see it.
Have you ever heard of like drive-in concerts too?
Yes, and I think that's a great idea too. In fact, my sweetie has a country band, and I would love for some venue in town here that has a big parking lot. Get a big old stage. Just imagine it's like a mini Coachella. Big old stage and have people drive. Just go drive-in movie theater. Park, and you have parking spots. So the parking spots are spaced out, and you sit there and you can have the band on stage. Now you have to hopefully the band's all tested and you feel comfortable with the band standing near the band, or space them out and have a concert outside in a big old field or big old parking lot with people in their cars spaced out. I think that's a great idea.
I think so too. I think I have seen alternative concerts where they have people on top of like I'm going to say little tiny stages separate from each other, like little tiny booths. I don't really agree with that because it's still out in the open, and whatever particles that are out of your mouth and all that can still spread. But in the case of like a drive-in, you can stay in your car. And now there might be some linguistics here and there. Like, for example, how do you get the audio from the stage onto your car? Now that's a question we'll have to solve, but that's the thing about the new normal is you can always experiment,
Well, I think if as long as you have the car, if you space out, have you particular parking spots with lines on the ground that you park here, you park here, you park here, and so they're spaced out. I think in that situation, you can have your windows open, and if you got a good enough speakers on the stage, you're going to hear the band.
Oh, that's true. That's very true. I think that because a bad speaker is going to be a bad speaker no matter what. So the thing would be that I can imagine parking somewhere, putting down my window and hearing the music. That actually could
And you can keep your mask on. You said if you want to, if you're feeling nervous about it, you can keep your mask on if you want to listen. Yeah. But I think if you're far enough away from somebody else and you're in your car, you're probably okay with not wearing a mask. But you could certainly keep a mask on if you wanted to.
No, I definitely agree with that. Yeah. And I think that the other thing would be that in your car, you can have your concessions.
Exactly.
Because in a movie theater in China, the idea is that you're just going to enjoy the movie, no concessions. Now, I'm one of those people that when you go out, you kind of get a little hungry. I don't know, like I get a little hungry when I go out.
So in your car, bring your snacks with you, and whatever. Yeah.
And I definitely feel like with the drive-in situation, you take it with you. You can even bring. Well, honestly, I would say don't. I would just to be nice, support your local concert venue because they're struggling. Mm-hmm, so buy a concession. It might be a little bit more expensive, but the thing is though they are going to make more money off of those concessions than they are off the actual concert. So I'm not going to tell you to sneak in a drink or two because those people have to work too, sadly.
Yeah, if the situation, if they are officially selling concessions, then fine. But if somebody wants to set up and think, well, we have a drive, but we're not going to sell food, then maybe you could bring your own. If that's an option, yeah.
No, I definitely agree with that. And the thing would be that when you're in your car and you're watching this drive-in concert, you'll get a good experience. Like it'll be like a interesting new experience, and you'll be able to experience a concert and listen to a band you like. Now, I'm trying to think. There was one particular group, Imagine Dragons, that did this pretty recently. But the thing about Imagine Dragons is that they got a lot of backlash because the way they did it was just not great. Like. From what my understanding was that they let people sit on top of their cars, and most people just got out of their cars and kind of wandered around, and it's kind of like
well, that's a problem. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you kind of. I don't want to sound mean, but you kind of have to kind of almost baby some people, like tell them, hey, sit down, sit down, please. Don't move around as much. Here's your snack. And 3 people at a time. 1 person from each car. And if you need and I think also another thing would be, I think they should come up with like a buzzer system where you can like click on something, or you're on your smartphone, you use an app and say, hey, can I get a refill on something? And then they charge you through your phone and they bring it to you. And I think that'd be a really smart idea.
I think it would be fun and something new, and it would give people jobs, those people would at least be working. And I think it's a great option.
I think that's Anita Rose on the line.
Hi, is this Anita?
Yes, this is. How are you?
Good. How are you? So tell us about, I know you're doing a lot of stuff. Tell us first about Cabaret Cares. You're involved in that, correct?
Yes. That started last night. It's tonight and tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's hosted by Marina Mack, and it has a plethora of entertainment. All of us have worked hard to put together videos, send them in on time so we can have also on the screen an interpreter. I am on tonight, and in my number I have Kevin Miller, who's one of the crooners out here in Palm Springs. I'm not sure who else we have because I'm at Oscars right now running 1,000,000 miles a minute.
I know, you're busy.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Better busy than bored, because when I'm bored, I get in trouble.
What is the organization that you're benefiting with Cabaret Cares?
I believe it's called C4 Communications.
And it's for the deaf. It's an association that helps for deaf people, correct?
Yes, and I believe that we're fundraising for the School of the Deaf.
Okay, excellent. Now, what else are you doing? Are you still doing the Bitchiest Brunch and let's see, what's the other one? Truth or Shots? Are you still doing those things?
Yes, I'm still doing all 3 of those right now. They're currently digital. The Bitchiest Bunch is happening at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All the shows are. I have game night, and we have different styles of games that we play on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And then we have Truth or Shots, which is like a interview / drinking game / spilling all the gossip and tea at 6 p.m. or game nights at 8 and Truth or Shot is at 6. And those are all on Roseburn Productions Facebook page. And then pretty soon we are working on trying to broadcast it at Oscars.
Oh, excellent.
as well.
Super.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So that way everybody can sit there and watch the brunch while they're sitting there eating. And then also we have a special event that's coming up at Oscars hosted by myself, but I can't really say what it is yet because it's top secret.
Okay.
But it's happening in October that you won't want to miss.
All right. So it's Rose Garden Productions Facebook page. That's where they go, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, I know we're short on time, but break a leg on all this stuff. I hope it goes well tonight, and we'll get you back on after you can spill the secret event, okay?
Okay, it's going to be very interesting. I'm excited. I'm so excited for this big old project. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. All right, have a good day. Thank you, Anita Rose. She's everywhere. All right, we're going to be back on the Culture Corner in just a moment.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallen and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Here are Bonnie and Brayan.
Hey, welcome back to The Culture Corner with B&B, or Bonnie and Brayan. Okay, so there's so much going on in the news. This Sunday is the Emmy, the 72nd Primetime Emmy Awards, and they're going to be hosted by Jimmy Kimmel, but he anticipates it's going to be the lowest rated ceremony of the bunch. And honestly, I'm a little surprised because you would imagine more television, that more people would be watching TV, so they'd be more like.
So are they going to have a small live audience? I mean, audience in the building watching him, or spaced out, or do you know?
According to this, Kimmel is going to have an audience less, no audience at all.
Okay.
He's going to be at the Staples Center, and he's going to be dressed up all nice and stuff. And the nominees will be in their house or at a remote location. So, for example, let's say they got somebody who's they're presenting an award. They'll probably be at the other room at the Staples Center, or they'll be somewhere else. Yeah. And so the other situation is that if a person wins, then of course the camera cuts to them. Yeah. And whatever acceptance speech they have, that's going to be like that.
Well, and you know, I mean, I'm glad they're doing it like that. I mean, that's pretty much the only way you can do it. But that's probably going to, because half the fun of watching those shows is seeing the audience and seeing who's sitting next to who and who's talking to who and what
the jokes.
So you're missing all that. So
when I watch the Academy Awards, because that's the one I watch. I watched the Primetime Emmys last year, and the thing was that you get to see people's reactions, all the tributes and all that, and people really do have reactions when people win. Like I remember I saw this old 1976 video of like Faye Dunaway winning for an Oscar, and it was fun watching Sissy Spacek and Talia Shire just sort of give very
because they lost. They were up against her. Yeah.
Like Sissy Spacek was all smiling and like good for her sort of vibe, but Talia Shire was so angry, like she actually rolled her eyes. And then you have Angelica Houston, like just sitting there like shrugging and looking very upset. I'm like, what did Faye Dunaway do to you?
Yeah.
And so those are the types of things you love to look at, and you also like to look at the fashion, and you also to look at.
So you're missing all that. Yeah. So it's not going to be quite the same. I really want to get to the Thanksgiving parade because I think this is fascinating. So, I'm going to let you tell them what they're doing this year, but I was curious, so I looked up. It started in 1924, 96-year history. In that time, the Macy's Thanksgiving parade's only been actually canceled 3 times due to a helium shortage during World War II, 1942, 43, and 44, which I found fascinating. I didn't know that. So it's not going to be canceled this year, but it's going to be different. So tell us how it's different.
So the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade has been a tradition for almost 100 years. It started in 1924, so that's how long it's been. They're still going to have giant balloons, colorful floats, and Santa Claus, but it's going to be a television-only special presentation, which, to be fair, a lot of people who live here, it's like, what's the difference? It's on television for us. But that means that they are not going to be on the route, and they're probably, from my understanding, they're not going to do the 2.5-mile route, and they're going to reduce 75% of their participants. They'll be socially distanced during performances, and they're going to have to wear masks. And so, and they also reduced it from like specialty vehicles. So instead of handlers, it's going to be specific cars and all that. And they said it's only going to be about like 5 to some very short amount of floats, and they're just probably going to stand there and present and do little tiny performances, and that's it. So
it's going to be shorter. It's going to be shorter, I'm guessing, like half an hour, 45 minutes. I mean, it's usually a couple hours, isn't it? The whole thing.
From what I remember, the whole thing is about. Wasn't it like
2 hours? 3 hours, yeah. Yes. So I'm sure it's going to be. I think it's probably going to be an hour max. With it is cutting that stuff down.
Because part of the thing about the Thanksgiving Day Parade is the fact that it takes them a while to get through the 2.5 miles. Right. It's not a big distance, but they do take a while because the floats are big and huge, and they also have performances, and they stop the parade for like musical performances and all that, and they have like sponsorships and all that. And bands, they have had the high school bands there.
So they're not going to have the bands.
No.
And didn't it say so? All the floats are going to be pulled by cars rather than people walking. Yes. Is that right? Yeah.
They're going to do that, and also they said that all the previously selected high school and college band performances will be next year, not this year.
Okay.
2021, and the local. And there's only going to be local professional marching and musical ensembles this year. So and all the college bands and all the high school bands, unfortunately, they'll have to miss out this year.
You know what? I just thought about it because I don't think it's going to be that much different New Year's Eve. I don't think they're going to be doing the ball drop in Times Square for New Year's Eve this year with all those people jammed in there.
Honestly, no, I don't imagine. Like, what are they going to do? Like social distance ball?
Yeah,
everyone
that's not
from
going to
their
happen.
Balcony.
Yeah. And it's going to be weird.
No, this has been a weird time living during a pandemic. Like you kind of have to accept the fact that a lot of things you looked forward to, like the Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'm crazy, but I was optimistic enough that I thought we would get the Thanksgiving Day Parade. And honestly, I'm even on the way here, I thought to myself, how is the Christmas Parade of Lights going to be here in Palm Springs? And how is because I know Palm Springs Pride, they have this idea of a car caravan. Mm-hmm. And I've been very critical about it. I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm trying to be like, I'm a little skeptical about that working. So I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to see the lights parade because that's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. Yeah. I don't know. For me, I'm thinking you might want to cancel that this year. Just as I know it's sad for people, but.
And also, like, a local parade can be canceled or done in a way where maybe they can make Palm Springs really pretty, and they put statues up, and they put little art displays. So,
or maybe they could set up, stuff like that where you could, with your mask on, you could walk through socially distanced, individual people or families could kind of go look at things and walk through and see lights rather than have a parade where you stand there and watch things go by. I don't know. It's a thought.
That's true. And the thing would be that it's one of those things where we just have to be really careful, but we also want to have fun. Yeah. And we want
it's a balance. You're trying to find a balance. I mean, I know everybody's crazed and bored and depressed and sick of being cramped up and want to go out and do fun things. I get that. We all do. We all do. But, you got to find a balance. There's a way to find a balance between not being stupid and reckless with your health and everybody else's health, but still finding a way to get some entertainment and enjoy yourself and enjoy hopefully other people here and there. But there is a way. It's not all or nothing. It's not black or white. There are areas of gray. I really believe that.
And if you do it right.
If you do it right, yeah.
So here's a statement by Susan Tercero, the executive producer of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. She said the company felt it was very important to continue this cherished holiday tradition that has been an opening act to the holiday season, which, yes.
It is, always,
that is definitely true for generations of families. While it will certainly look different in executions this year, Macy's Parade celebrations will once again serve its historical purpose and to bring joy to the hearts of millions across the nation.
And that's good. I'm glad they found a way to do it, to, tone it down and scale it down. So they're still going to have it. So that's good. It's one way to still have some entertainment. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on the Culture Corner. I'm so happy to have my new co-host, Brayan Mendoza. It's a 2-hour version. Thank you to all our guests. We will see you again next week, 10 a.m. to 12 noon on the Culture Corner on iHubRadio.com. Stay safe.